Okay, Christina here to listen to some music. And today's music selection is Hallelujah, performed by K.D. Lang. So I definitely know this song, but I never really got into this song, if that makes sense. It came out a little bit too early for me. I was just a little kid. I have heard the song in some really important, impressionable moments. For instance, I saw Rufus Wainwright perform this live in concert, and just the fact that he was live and I was there listening to him, that's all I needed to have it be wonderful. But it's just not really ever been my favorite song. And I'm sure it's because I never really sat down and listened to the original Leonard Cohen version. I've just sort of heard it here and there, and it just hasn't really grabbed me yet. But better late than never. And then as far as the performer here, K.D. Lang. So I also know who she is. I've never owned one of her albums, and I really kind of only know one song. And that's one that came out in the 90s, and that was back when I was listening to the radio, so I knew kind of all the popular stuff at the time. And that's Constant Craving. I actually kind of like that song a lot. And her voice, I remember back then thinking her voice was just magically beautiful. And again, what are we looking for when I'm listening to this song? I'm a professional classically trained musician, instrumentalist, vocalist, composer, and professor. So we talk about all aspects of the music. I learn a little something, and hopefully so do all of you. And of course, without all of you, we can't make the channel happen. We have to have our audience here. So thank you for everyone who is supporting the channel. Feel free to leave comments, join me over on Patreon, coffee, become a channel member. We're just having a lot of fun. But for now, enough talking. Let's listen. Okay, I also know that the original version, the Leonard Cohen version, was released in 1984. K.D. Lang started her career in 1981, and this was released in 2004. All right, so let's get into this.
Heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. You don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the her beauty and the moonlight overthrew ya. Well, she tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throne and cut your hair, and from your lips she drew hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Okay, that's really magical so far. And still, I have not completely connected with the song itself. It's one of those where, again, every time I've heard it. So in the intro to this video, I mentioned that I heard it at a Rufus Wainwright concert. I love Rufus. I know all of his music. I've seen him in concert like 3 times. Love Rufus. And he closed one of his shows with this. It was on guitar, though. And even then, I didn't connect with the actual song. Like, I didn't really pay attention exactly to what the meaning was behind it. I didn't need to, because in that moment, my feelings were appropriate for my surroundings right then. And so that song supported that. And it's just been one of those songs that I've thought, well, I'll just go back later and maybe catch the words another time. Well, I guess now's that time. So let's take a look at the lyrics. I mean, there are lots of guesses to what it means, but I caught on to a few things, like talking about composing, the fourth and the fifth, the minor and the major. Who's the baffled king, though? So now I've heard there was a secret chord, but you don't really care for music, do you? The fourth, the fifth? And I'm wondering if the music follows that. Does it go to the fourth on the fourth and the fifth on the fifth? I'll have to go back and listen. And the minor fall, the major lift. Interesting. Talking about the composing as you're composing. I like it. You saw her bathing on the roof. She broke your throne and she cut your hair. And from your lips she drew the hallelujah. So to me it seems like the hallelujah is not necessarily based in religion, as in the religious interpretation of, hallelujah. I think more he's talking about maybe love and everyday life. Maybe coming to reckon with your past. And the cutting of the hair, is that biblical? Is that Delilah? Whatever the story is. For some reason, up to this point, I know a lot of people cover this song, and I just sort of took it at face value. Why is it that these people like this song so much? Anyway, so this is already a different twist on this. And again, I always listen to the music first and then the lyrics. So this is opening up a whole new world to me about this song. And maybe it's piquing my interest about it. All right, so let's continue on with the lovely musical part of it and the interpretation that maybe now I'm understanding better. And of course, the magic of K.D. Lang. All right, here we go.
Baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked the floor. Used to live alone before I knew ya. But I've seen your flag on the marble arch. Our love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Maybe there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew ya. It's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not someone who's seen the light. It's a cold and broken hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
that might be the most I've been moved by this song to this point. And that's a lot, considering that, again, one of the main times I've heard it was live at a Rufus Wainwright concert, and I love that artist, and so it was really special. You know, whatever he played was going to be really special. Again, this is one of those, like, why have I not heard more of this artist, Katie Lang? I've always known who she was, who she is, and I really do like her Constant Craving song from back in the 90s. I love how she's a little bit of a country crossover, or maybe she's a lot country, I'm not sure, but there's this crossover aesthetic with her that I really enjoy. I always love a good mix of genres. Kind of like the new bluegrass movement, newgrass. I love it. I love newgrass. Also, her voice is just smooth as silk. She really has that lovely lower register, like an alto, a lower voice, but then she can float those high notes, and especially on the syllable of the hallelujah, that's a great vowel sound in choral diction to get to sing. You get to sort of expand the space in the back of your mouth, and it really resonates, and you can really get that pure tone. Ooh, it's just about as pure as you could get it. And her voice is so beautiful up there. Then there's the string arrangement, the instrumental part of this. Oh. It was gorgeous. It gave me goosebumps and tears. My eyes welled up with tears towards the end. And the compositional aspect of this, the form of the piece, it started out so simply with this amazing piano sound. Loved it. But then all of the other background instruments, the guitars and the strings, and there was a bass, a really low plucked bass, like an upright bass sound. They were all brought in sort of carefully, sensitively, one at a time. Sometimes you weren't even able to notice that they were there yet. Your ear was hearing it, but your brain didn't register that it was there yet. And then with the form of the piece, at 3/4 of the way through, there was this beautiful swell, the height of the piece. And then it was tailored down, and then it came back. We had a little uprising again of it. Just like we said the hallelujah that we wanted to, but no, we're not done yet. We're going to go back for just one more. And then the piece feels complete. And I was feeling kind of the same way. I was a little sad to see the piece come to a close. And so I was really relieved when it went back up again. It was a pleasant surprise, and also a sign of really good composing and arranging. So the instrumentation, all of it seemed to me to reflect her tone of voice. The piano, the depth of the sound of the piano. With the strings, it did not go up very high. We didn't hear a bunch of those really high notes that we tend to hear like up high with the violin. In fact, I was even thinking that I only heard violas and cellos for quite a while. If I did hear violins, they just didn't go up that high, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's part of this aesthetic and sort of matching her voice quality. And then the guitars also, they mimicked her. So Katie Lang, and again, this is just from the one song I know of hers, The Constant Craving, but I did listen to that song a lot. I didn't buy the album, but it was on the radio all the time, so I listened to it a lot. There's something so rich and satisfying about her tone of voice, constant. Just the way she would scoop up to the notes, craving, and the sliding has always been. And all of that is sort of my favorite part about her voice and her singing, and I heard so much of that in this. It was just so delicious. And then you combine that with just the little hint of the country, so a little bit of a country guitar sound using the upright string bass sound. And again, it could be just an electric bass, but it definitely was mimicking that sound. And to me, that says a little bit more country. So she really put her spin, her roots on this, because I know before it was, folk. The original is more folk style, and so this was a perfect interpretation for her. And I don't know who did the instrumental arrangement on this for her, but it was just exquisite. So I want to go back and catch a couple of these things and see if I can demonstrate them. Okay, so the opening piano sound, I just want to start with that. And even that chord, the chords being used are not just straightforward major or minor chords. They're a little crunchier, and I really like that. So we've got, so normally we have A major. And I think we heard the C sharp up at the top, but I heard this. A B in there. So we have A and then the B right next to it. I heard that in there. And it was beautiful. Right there, to me, it was already really interesting. And mixed with that beautiful piano sound, I was like, okay, here we go. All right. Let's see if I can find examples of her amazing voice.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
That rich lower tone.
Hallelujah.
She really just lands on those notes. So, so that's, G sharp to an F sharp. That's low for most women's voices, and it's just beautiful. And then how she kind of floats away with her really amazing vibrato. That was one thing I remember from the Constant Craving song, is the control that she has of her voice. It does have, the passaggio in her voice, like where it breaks and you move from chest voice to head voice. She does have a really well-defined break, but she uses it to her advantage. So, but then within that, there's also so much control. So I was talking about her vibrato. Her vibrato is just, it's a little bit on the relaxed side, but it's still so controlled. And then sometimes, especially here, you can almost not hear it. It's almost like she's not there to celebrate that part. Like she sort of chose that vibrato was going to be too much to use for this song. So she stuck with the deeper tones and the sliding in and out of notes and then floating the high note, which I'll get to an example of here in just a second. She chose those attributes of her singing voice to represent this song, but not as much the vibrato. Like it was hidden at first. She might have used it a little bit later on, but here it was still subdued to the point where it almost turned into a breath. Let's see if we can catch that.
Hallelujah.
There.
Hallelujah.
So by the time she's to the end of the Luya, it's almost just breath. I love that artistic decision. Okay, let's find one of her little floaty notes, because they are good.
Hallelujah.
So there she switches. That's where I'm talking about, where she takes advantage of the break in her voice. Hallelujah. Like that. So, and then she flips back down to it. But when she floats up there, let's find even another one where she floats even better. I think it might have been toward the end.
Hallelujah.
breath there. Okay, I'll come back to the string parts. I want to say stuff now, but I'll get back there. Okay, also with her voice, the power of it in that mid-range. So at the beginning, it was very delicate. At the end, it was very delicate. But let's go to a moment where she was really in the center of the power of her voice. And I was just like, yes, this is the voice I know. It was wonderful.
Your flag on the marble arch. Our love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah.
It almost got a little bit of a vocal fry in there, and then that little vocal break, the break right there at the end. I want to go back and hear that. It was so great.
The cold and it's a broken hallelujah.
And then that vocal for hallelujah. It's just so well timed. Some music can overdo the vocal fry thing, but that was well timed. And now we get into the string section. So I heard the strings come in there. Let's just continue it on.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Oh, okay, so one neat little gesture I am hearing, it really tugs on your heartstrings, is... So here's A, one of the keys that it's in, and you hear, and then it goes down a half step. And just that right there, there's something about, it's a little happier, and then, ooh. And it's almost like a suspension. A suspension is where one note is held a little bit longer than it should be, and then it finally resolves. And it really makes you feel a lot of extra tension in that moment of music, and I love that effect. So we're hearing a lot of that sort of interplay where the strings are playing all of the in-between notes in the keys. And they're choosing all the right notes that really, as I said, sort of tug on the heartstrings. So let's back that up a little bit and see if we can hear some of the strings doing their magic thing.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Oh, and I'm hearing a little bit of that warbly guitar sound in the back. So again, it's that little bit of a country flavor to it. Love it. Okay, so I kept playing because it was happening in different places, but you can hear it and it was almost overlapping. It was wonderful. Okay, I want to get to the high point of this piece, the place where I had all the goosebumps, the chills and the tears, right? Okay, so I just have to say going into this section that normally she would kind of fade away there, but instead she pushed forward and it's leading us into this little instrumental interlude. Just surrounded by the sound.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Oh, I love that little playing with the break. I think my break is kind of in a similar spot that hers is in. So anyway, now we're into that little softer part. So we had the big uprising, the blooming of the music, and now we're back down. And we're only like 45 seconds away from the end. So you would think that that'd be it. All right, we're just going to work our way down from there. But no. And it's back. She ends that perfectly, hangs on to it even more, and then it does the little dissipation into the breath. Yeah, that's some musical magic there. So I do think that that's an upright bass. I heard one of the notes plucked and it rattled. Let's see if we can go catch that. Oh, I love little details like that. Okay, so the other thing that I believe a lot of artists now, I'm seeing this, that they enjoy this song. It has a deeper meaning to it that is a little bit left open for interpretation. You can sort of go sacred or secular with it. But there's just sort of this sing-songy feeling to it. And you hear it at the very end. And also with the strings, you hear that perfect fourth. That's a perfect fourth. It's a B to an E. And you hear that fourth. Do you hear the upper strings holding it? Perfect fade out. So just the right notes were brought out. Just the right notes were put on top. As in, at the end, the bass was doing this, and then you hear this. It's just right. I mean, we could have had things like up here, but no, right here. And then really low. And again, that is to match the aesthetic of her voice. Love it. Okay. So you know I can't resist this. I've got to do this. I want to play along. And again, they sound more like violas and cellos, but I'm still going to play my violin along with it because why not? Yeah, so those are definitely lower instruments. Gorgeous string lines, though. Okay, that was Alleluia, performed by K.D. Lang. It was gorgeous. It was magical, as I said. And this song suddenly means a lot more to me, and I think that means this is a success. I do wish now I could go back in time to when I've heard this performed live or, at movies and stuff, and I would appreciate it a lot more. But this particular version is quite the beauty. So I'm going to have to look up a little bit more, or if you happen to know, leave it in the comments. Who did the instrumentation? Has she performed this live in other places? I mean, this is not a live recording, but, I would love to see her sing this live. And if she did they have strings that accompanied her? That'd be beautiful. So I feel so fortunate now to have experienced this song on this level. And are there other covers of this song that I should do? I'm pretty sure there are. I'm just trying to remember what they are. So remind me in the comments, and we'll see if we can get on the channel. And so until then, just remember that you don't have to be perfect. Just be okay. And keep listening.